Welcome back to the channel, and welcome for the first time if you've never been here before. I am Crawford, and this is Virginia is for Lowriders. I don't just build lowriders. Keep that in mind. Subscribe and stick around. Lots of builds, not just lowrider stuff. Other things happen here. But today, we're working on a lowrider. But today, or bag truck, whatever, you get an idea. We are fixing some C-notches. We are building some mock-up bags so I don't burn up my new airbags. We're going to be cutting some mounts off. We're going to, I didn't record it, but I welded up a fuel cell for a friend of mine yesterday because yesterday was a little hectic. Along with the other things that I just talked about, we are going to hopefully try my best here to get the rear end set in place and tack welded in place so I can start actually building some stuff to attach to the rear. I ordered bag mounts. I don't normally condone just ordering everything, but the prices of steel in my area are so ridiculous right now that there is absolutely no way that I can buy the steel, cut the steel, and bend it and make everything to make a bag mount for less than the $18 that I paid for two of them shipped to my house. I don't get it. I don't know if people in other states are getting good deals on steel still. Back in the day, let's say 5 years ago at least, steel was cheap and I made everything. Didn't matter. I complained about it, pretty much complained about it because the prices for bag parts were so expensive. But now it's the opposite. I don't understand. Unless it's just eBay gives those guys. I'm not sure how somebody, I'm rambling again, I'm not sure how somebody on eBay can buy steel, cut it with a plasma table, and ship it to you for $18, and I can't buy the materials to make it for that kind of money. It's weird, but whatever. I'm rambling. Let's get to work. We're going to make these and all that stuff right now. One more thing of ranting, are also over there on that side adding some gussets and trying to justify the purchase of my little bandsaw right here and the stand that I made by cutting as many things as we can with it in this video. Went through and welded this. It's a G-body Monte Carlo fuel tank welded in a fuel sump for my buddy's car. Waiting on a bung for the fuel line return to finish this up. I'll actually try to record that. I was going to record this yesterday, but a lot of stuff was going on. Fixing a frame for another friend of mine and trying to juggle all that with a bunch of people here and record at the same time is not a thing that it's a possibility to do because everybody's yelling and talking and grinding and beating and it just, yeah. I don't know what it is today. Just rambling away. Let's actually start working. Got a set of these measuring tools off of Amazon forever ago just for stuff like this because it makes it a lot easier. So that is the outside diameter of the bag. Outside diameter of the piece of pipe. Pretty close. If you ever have the opportunity to buy a really large vise from somebody for a decent price, highly recommend. Even if it's a old one that you don't really care about, because you got it kind of keep it outside. Being this big definitely comes in handy. Highly recommend a wax tipped pencil. Just like works like a mechanical pencil. These are pretty inexpensive, but for marking rough stuff like this, Sharpies are terrible and you will ruin the Sharpie This stuff, as you can see, shows up very, very well and doesn't come off. Even stays on there with heat, so definitely recommend. I have a piece of, it's just iron-on vinyl that I will never use because it is junk off Amazon, but it makes a good straight edge, I guess you could call it. You'll know if you're getting a smooth straight cut because there is no wrinkles and both sides of the vinyl line up. You can do the same thing with a piece of, maybe if you had some really flexible cardstock or crafting paper or something. This is just what I have laying around. So what I need to do is mark this, move it down, figure out how I'm going to make the ends, and then mark it at roughly 3 inches. Those bags compress to 2.8. I think I'm going to make them 3 inches tall. It gives me some wiggle room. That way I know for sure that the bag is going to fit and compress and not rub. So, as I was taking forever and ever to cut these, I was thinking about it. It doesn't really matter if this is 100% square and whatnot, as long as I can get the outside to be 100% square. So, my idea here, take this, I'm going to weld a nut on here, then after the nut's welded on, I'll put these guys on here as some spacers to where the nut will have plenty of clearance for this guy to sit on there, which apparently some of these nuts I have are different heights. Okay, that nut can go on there and be somewhat level. Put some more of these on top. That gets me the height that I need. Put this guy somewhere around here. Square all this up. And then slip these over top. Space them up a little bit. Weld all the way around. This thing weighs a lot, but I know for sure that it'll be square. And it'll last me the rest of my life. Because this is a lot of material. But the only thing that I've actually purchased is these. I got these off eBay. It was like $25, I think. They were pretty cheap, so I'll have $25 wrapped up in this because everything else is scrap that I've had laying around. So I'm going to get some stuff cleaned up, weld some of these nuts on here, and that'll be it. I'll start putting this together. Well, the last one that I welded up over here, I got a great shot of the top of my head and didn't record any of it. So reposition the camera over here so I can try to actually record this without the top of my head being involved. But pretty straightforward here. Just combining all of the pieces. Drilled a hole in here. That guy will sit somewhat like this. That will get welded on there. This will get welded inside of there. Need to cut 2 more of these because I seem to have misplaced the other 2. Or I need to find them. Probably be faster just to cut some. Well, going through and welding all of this together, my buddy James showed up, so he's been wanting to weld something. He hasn't welded in a while. So you'll see us go back and forth, me giving him some general idea of different methods to basically stick this stuff together with a MIG welder. I'm a firm believer that anybody can MIG weld, and there's 30 different ways to go about it, and we went over a bunch of them, and he figured out which way he liked best. So you'll see us bounce back and forth between who's holding the MIG gun and me pointing at it a whole bunch, but that's all that's going on in this video. It's kind of confusing looking if I didn't give a sort of an explanation. Now that these are made up, I need to go and grind the tops of the welds because they're raised just a little bit. Grind these flat all the way around. I added 2 sets of nuts in here for different size bag mounts to have a little bit of adjustability. I probably should have just used a nut that could slide, like a T-bolt or something, but whatever. For the front of small vehicles, they run a smaller bag, as you can see here. There is a pretty big difference between those two, 6s and 7s. I got a set of these. Again, I got these off eBay for like 22 bucks shipped to my house. These are going to become another set of these in a smaller size to replicate this bag compressed. So those will be made up later for other projects, but for right now I need to get to grinding and go ahead and bolt these up. That escalated. I was just gonna knock the welds down to where they were flat, but I ended up going through and making them actually look good for whatever reason. So I'll go ahead and get these bolted in. As you can see, they are almost identical in size. This thing is actually just a hair smaller than the bag, so it's close enough. I wanted it to be as close as possible. That way, when it's in there and it's bolted in, there's absolutely no way that whenever I'm doing these vehicles that I can possibly come into contact with the bag once it's in there. I know that depending on the brand, they expand a little bit, so as long as I keep a 1/4 inch gap all the way around it or so, I'll be fine. Off camera during this week, I went through and removed this portion of the notch because it was very, very badly welded in there. All I did was grind the face of the weld off and the whole thing came off. You can see here, this hasn't been cleaned up and there is 0 penetration marks. All you see there is chisel marks. So the plan is take these guys and raise the notch up, weld these in. That gives me a little bit more clearance for this, and the entire notch is stronger. I picked up some of these guys. These are braces for roll cages. So the 3-link will be coming over here, tying into this bar. I want to strengthen some of this up as much as I can, so maybe a brace here, maybe a brace there. I don't know how crazy I want to go with it, but I got 4 of them to play with. This notch is all over the place. Every end of it is a different size by like a lot. It's pretty sweet. So it might look a little weird and look a little thin on the top, but it's not from like a lack of me trying to make this work. I really don't feel like cutting into this. I think we're just going to go with trimming this, and it is what it is. So we're going to be putting back in whatever thickness this is. So if I cut off 3, and I put this back on the bottom, I'm gaining roughly about a 1/2 inch of clearance, which I'm okay with. This is mostly to make it strong. I understand taking stuff out of the frame is counterproductive on strength here, but if you saw the amount of welding and cutting or lack of welding and cutting that I had to do, this was pretty bad. Something like that, I guess. Alright, same thing over here. Nothing too complicated. That looks a little wonky. Whatever. It'll be the same measurement now, at least. This is how humid it is in my garage. This is 2 weeks and everything's already rusting. Had to do some normal house stuff like cut the grass. But I'm back at it. Got the notches welded inside, outside, bottom, all of that. Everything looks pretty decent. I need to do one pass right here. So now on to these guys. Need to, oh, actually I didn't weld the back of that guy. I'm gonna weld, I think, one right here. And then one trimmed, let's get there. This one I trimmed with the bandsaw. I think it's gonna go here, maybe level with the top of the frame. And it kind of flows a little better. I'm gonna burn these in real quick. So, like I was saying, I made them a little bit taller than the bag is when it's compressed. The mock-up bag is actually completely flush with this C-notch, which I'm okay with because the rear end can't go any further than that, so it leaves me a little wiggle room there. They turned out pretty good. I mean, they're just a tool. They're not anything that would be permanently mounted on a vehicle, of course, but for a mock-up tool, not too bad. Well, it's getting kind of late. Went inside, ate, all that good stuff. I need to get the video edited, so I'm going to try and get a little bit more progress done before the call it a quits for the weekend. So I'm going to go through and at least cut these mounts off. I was going to use these factory brackets, but they're not quite wide enough for the 4-link bar ends that I have to work with. I don't really want to cut those down. I don't want to sacrifice the width on those, so I think I'm just going to cut them off, start over fresh, and of course make them stronger than they are now. From the factory, they're kind of weird. They have this double hole thing with this little bracket that bolts to it so you can utilize the top hole. I don't really care for that, so I'm just going to put some normal tabs on there and brace them up and stuff. I'm going to go ahead and cut those off now, though. Well, I think that just about does it for this week. Decent progress. I'm not going to say great progress, but getting the notches done, the mock-up bags, those things, and a whole lot of grinding dust. I think it's a good stopping point because it's going to take me forever to edit all of it. That's good for that. It's going to take me forever to edit all of it, so thanks for watching. Don't forget to stop back by next week and subscribe, please. I appreciate it.